Welcome to DNF. This is a Formula One podcast. I am Spencer Hall. I am joined as always by Jessica Smetana. They're broadcasting from her parka in the icy studios at Meadowlark. How are we doing, Jessica?
The temperature finally dropped below 85 in Miami, and so the air conditioning is just blasting, even though it's not like 100 degrees outside. So I'm suffering right now, but it's okay. We're going to make it through this very special edition of DNF. We're recording on Election Day, Spencer. It should be interesting no matter what happens, just like it was interesting watching the chaos that was the Brazilian Grand Prix.
Well, let's talk about something soothing like Interlagos in the rain. Let's talk about something as calm as qualifying in Brazil. Kind of a crazy race. Like we put up with a lot of steady state, boring races with expected outcomes to get something like this. A race where Max Verstappen wins is not necessarily unexpected. One where he comes from 17th all the way to first is
ridiculous.
One where we get not one, but two Alpines on the podium. Okay. In the words of Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon, if you had bet on this, congratulations. You are now a very wealthy man. Can I borrow $1?
Yeah, I think like my main takeaway from the weekend is that Spencer, it's Jover. It is the title fight has ended. Max Verstappen had his signature win this season, one that I think we're all going to remember because, yeah, did he get a little lucky with the timing of the red flag? Sure.
Yeah.
But did he also fight his way through the grid to get to a place where a little bit of luck would give him a win and almost clinch him the title?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, like you said, P17 all the way up to P1. McLaren and Lando Norris probably feel like ass after this one. They did win the sprint race. Lando won the sprint. We'll talk about the sprint race in a little bit, but really tough luck on Sunday with the main event. And it's going to be tough for Lando to win after Max took the 62-point lead with only 3 races to go in the season. So, you know, crazier things have happened, but I feel like this was kind of it.
Yeah, the only way to discount this Verstappen victory is to say something like, you didn't pass Joke on you. That's it. If Joke on you had been in front of you, buddy, would have been a whole lot different. Yeah, that's a joke. There's no way to discount what he's done, either in this race or this season, where in circumstances that, again, were created entirely by his own race team, overcame all of that because he is a freak. He is a freak in a freak of a car. And the individual race being decided does not mean, by the way, that Lando Norris didn't accomplish a tremendous amount this season, because prior to this season, it was all a little bit too much for little Lando Norris. And now he's coming out of this season as the contender, like the next champion. If you were going to go ahead and say, okay, who's the next guy? It's obviously him. Correct?
I don't know. I mean, I think that there's probably some fans that would actually say this maybe was his best chance, Spencer. Like, now he's going to have to fight with Oscar next year because he's not going to get, I mean, which he did also have to do for half of this season.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to get, Oscar's not going to be giving up spots for him, like first place spots like we saw in the sprint race. He also has been under pressure since Hungary when they were like, okay, maybe we do have a chance for Lando to win. And he's made some mistakes. Like he made a pretty big mistake in the sprint race. I don't think Sunday was like his fault coming in before the red flag. I think that, you can't really blame him for that, but he's cracked a little bit under the pressure. And I think that maybe you're right. Maybe he is like the heir apparent now. If the McLaren keeps performing and has the same pace next year, yeah, it's fair to say that. But
I think there's an entirely different. There's a whole different kettle of fish, Jessica, that we have to address.
What is a kettle of fish?
Yes, a whole different kettle of fish that we have to address if
that sounds gross.
If he's not the contender, right?
Yeah.
Because
true.
That means that there is an entire power struggle at McLaren, and maybe one that's likely on the way that we have to address. So I see what you're saying, and I will state, maybe we table that. maybe
Okay.
like
Let's table it. You're right. I'm being negative today. I think that obviously I'm not the biggest Max Verstappen fan, but more so I was hoping that this battle would go until Abu Dhabi, like like in 2021, because I think it'd be more exciting for that to happen. And so like the fact that this title fight had some life over the summer and into November was very exciting. And so I'm feeling a little let down. Because really going into Sunday, I was like, there's no way Max is going to finish in first place in this race. And then Spencer, he did it again. Despite getting the 5 grid penalty,
Yep.
5 spot penalty, he also did bad in qualifying. Qualifying was a disaster for everyone, really. He pulled it off. So I mean, I'm gonna give him credit. He had an amazing race and absolutely deserves all of his success. He's a great driver. But I did want to see this thing kind of go until the end. I think that would have been a lot of fun.
That would have been more fun, although I think the track just decided we'd had enough excitement. I think through
Yeah.
qualifying, through every wreck, through Lance Stroll beaching his car inexplicably in the middle of a gravel pit.
That was funny. Can we watch that video? This was a fan took this video, so we're allowed to play it, of Lance Stroll beaching it on the formation lap. And then instead of reversing out of the spot, just driving straight through the gravel, and it didn't end well for him.
Not original music. I'll just go ahead and tell you that. Yeah, I don't know what Lance was doing. Just I think the kids call this crashing out, and literally and figuratively, this was a crash out for Lance Stroll. I really admire, pardon the language, I just admire somebody who says fuck it. Like that is a supreme fuck it moment to just.
I wouldn't want to drive in this. It looked dangerous. It was scary at times. There were times where I was like, oh man, I understand why they safety car it. I think it's stupid that they do it after drivers have put on their wet tires. But like, yeah, it was dangerous out there. It was very scary. They had to move qualifying obviously to Sunday. They had to push the race up a couple hours. Caught me off guard, by the way, because I can't tell time zones apart. So I almost missed the beginning of this one. But yeah, it was I don't blame if Lance Stroll got in his car at the race and was like, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to do 70 laps of rainy driving. I'm just gonna I don't care if people make fun of me. I'm just gonna end it right here and just, I don't know, put some gravel in my chassis. I think that's a decision we all can relate to. I did it, but
I deeply relate to it. I also want to just know why, when I am watching videos of BMG on TikTok, if you don't know, these are the videos where they just simulate like a car crashing through a weird CGI kind of. Yeah,
I've seen these.
Yeah, every time there's an F1 car that crashes in those, the comments are inevitably one driver, and they're like, "Yo, Lance Stroll did it.
No,
Lance Stroll did it." Yeah.
I didn't know that.
All of the sim comments are always like, "Oh, Lance, that was a sick move." Every time it crashes into a pillar or something.
Oh man. Well, okay, it was an exciting weekend. There's 3 races left, obviously. Verstappen only needs to be 60 points or higher in Vegas to clinch it, I think.
Yeah.
And right now he's 62 points ahead of Lando. So it may end at the next race, which is in 3 weeks in Las Vegas. And McLaren, tough timing on everything this weekend.
Everything.
The sprint race was weird. Did you think that they were very clear in what they were attempting to do when it came to Piastri giving up his spot to Lando?
Come closer. No.
Also, there was controversy with the virtual safety car being late and it being bad for Max, because there was obviously a battle going on with Verstappen and Leclerc, and Norris was still in second to Piastri, and then Hulkenberg, I think that was his first crash, because then didn't crash again on Sunday. Messy weekend. And it took a minute for them to deploy the virtual safety car, and people were unhappy about that.
Yeah. Sprint race was, as the rest of the entire weekend, was a complete, I don't want to say disaster, but a fracas, a melee, a hullabaloo. There was much ado in Brazil. I wanted to get to the positives, though.
Okay, let's talk about positives.
All right.
Let's talk about positives.
Which I think I would say in French that we should parlons de français, which is we got to talk about these Frenchmen because for the first time this millennium, there were 2 French drivers on the podium. Two, 3 from Alpine. Yes, Alpine, which by finishing second and third managed to move up from 9th place in the constructors to 6th place. Jessica first. I love the late season constructors because just showing up and nabbing a podium spot can move you an astonishing amount. It can move you way further than you think.
Yeah. It can win you perhaps 50 million dollars, I don't know. Doesn't matter.
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
Lot of money. Sound that crazy? It's double the points that they had in their previous 20 races.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And Esteban Ocon also, like, he led the race and was very fast for a while there.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a total fluke. They also qualified well. Gasly qualified pretty well in the sprint qualifying. So, like, they had some pace this weekend when the conditions were, like, a little bit better. But then, you know, they both raced really well through the rain on Sunday. And it went so well for them, Spencer, that they forgot that they didn't even like each other. They were, like, giggling and stuff. It was very cute.
Can we look at the girls? Bring them on. Let's see the
has bet on us, and he's very rich now. Congratulations! Honestly, I don't even think someone would have made such a crazy call like that.
So they're saying if you bet on them, you'd be very.
I love it. They got all cuddly. They got all like, oh hey.
Oh my god, the way they were looking at each other too. I mean, these are 2 drivers that grew up very close to one another and have like known each other a very long time. They've raced together since they were very young, and then there was some beef that happened. Some people think it was like from a racing incident in 2009 where there was a crash. I'm not exactly sure, Spencer. We don't know the nature of the beef necessarily. This would be a great beef history episode.
I would.
But yeah, we know that they don't quite get along and that they've been there's been some frostiness, and they've sort of openly been like, you know, it doesn't matter as long as the team vibes are good, which they haven't been. They've been pretty bad all year.
Yeah.
Until now. And now we see them smiling and having a great time together. So yeah, what a weekend.
Just kicking up their legs in the bed. Just, oh my God, it's Esteban here. It's adorable. I'm not saying that derogatorily.
I know we're being very condescending, but it was like it genuinely warmed my heart.
No, it did. Winning fixes everything. Okay.
Yeah.
And podiums for a team like Alpine mean not just $50 million worth on the balance sheet. It can do way more than that in terms of giving everyone a little bit of hope heading into the off season and into the 25 season. So genuine happy thoughts for Alpine. They're cool people. If you've hung out with their crew, they are very, very cool. And I'm glad to see them doing some fun stuff. Also, let's talk about this, like large scale kind of stuff. Okay. We're looking at a constructors race with actual genuine intrigue. I know it's not everything to everyone. And at some point we do have to have a discussion about the kind of dual nature of F1's championship, because I think most everyone agrees it's the driver, right? Like if you were to say, okay, which one's the championship people care most about? Okay. I can't say which one's valid, which one's more legitimate, but most people eyeballs go to the driver because it's a dude. And in sports, we like an athlete. We don't necessarily like the franchise. Like what happens every time an NFL owner shows up and takes a trophy? We're always like, who's that guy? No one cares. What are you doing? You didn't do this, right?
Lamar Hunt. Give it to Patrick Mahomes first.
Yeah, get off the stage. No one wants to hear Lamar Hunt. No one, like, as cool as he can be, Steve Bisciotti. Nobody wants to see Steve Bisciotti for the Ravens. And I know in the EPL, absolutely no one wants to see any of those owners whatsoever. Okay. But in F1, we have the Constructors, which is the team award, which still matters quite a bit for so many reasons beyond prestige. Obviously, prestige is nice, and it's the kind of thing that makes rich people very happy when their feelings are validated by how they spent their money. However, there are also serious competitive concerns that are at stake here, and that's this. Right now, McLaren is in the lead. That is not a gigantic lead. It is 593 to 557 ahead of Ferrari. We'll just remind everyone, if you fell asleep for 3 months, McLaren is in the lead, Ferrari is second, and Red Bull with 544 points is somehow in third.
Close. It's close though. Closer than last week.
They're closer than last week. They're right there.
Right? I don't know. I can't do math.
I mean, we have a very exciting 1, 2, 3 race for the constructors alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also like I think maybe it depends on either the fan or the team to determine what you would prefer. Certainly the prize money is great. Obviously you want the prize money. But like you said, the prestige of having a driver that wins it in the years where the constructor and the driver's champion are different teams, or a driver and a team that is someone else. It's definitely good for selling stuff. It's good for, people who are fans of that person. It's good for attracting like good drivers to come drive for your team. So definitely pros and cons of both. But yeah, we might have a situation now where Max definitely wins the drivers championship, but Red Bull only comes in third place in the constructors championship. And by like a decent margin, because Sergio Perez has continued to just have such a terrible time this year. And that would be really interesting to see how Red Bull kind of manages that. I think they are very content with Max winning, and that's really like all Red Bull cares about. But I'm curious if it were the other way around, like with different teams, how they would celebrate that.
I am intrigued as well, especially because we have that dual split in this, because the only people going into the last couple of races, the home stretch, who have any real certainty about where they're going to end up are Mercedes, sitting there solidly in fourth. They are
they're just on an island.
They're just on Mercedes Island. Toto.
They're not going to do anything. Did you hear Lewis talking about the car this weekend? He was like, I don't think it could have been worse. He was so unhappy. Just having the worst time, just absolutely miserable.
Yeah, so
you're right.
Absolutely miserable. They're not doing anything. Like Lewis is basically driving a rental car right now, and it's not going to get a whole lot better because there's not a lot of incentive for them to get a whole lot better for Lewis. So right now, when you ask the engineers what they're doing with that car, they go collecting data. Sure, just get it on the track.
Like, not data that Lewis can't use because he's like a lame duck of sorts. He's not in any of the meetings. He's just like, I'm leaving and I'm not allowed to know your secrets.
Yeah. Always kind of a dope time for me at work, right? Like I loved that.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
oh my God, it's the best. Like, you're leaving one job to take another job. So you're just like, yeah, well, I guess I'll just drive this expensive car around this racetrack for a few hours. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Lewis, are you texting in a meeting? Damn right I'm texting in a meeting. I'm playing Balatro in this meeting. Yeah.
4:00.
Yeah. I'm watching TikToks here. You got a good one here, Toto. You look great. Yeah.
Yeah.
But 5 through 7 is what I wanted to get to. 5 through 7.
Okay. Let's talk about it.
Oh yeah. Because we have Aston Martin at 86 in 5th. And then Alpine, Haas, and RB are all within 5 points of each other from 44 to 49 in reverse order. So Alpine at 49, Haas at 46, RB at 44. If you want to see the definition of 3 dogs fighting over a chicken wing, that's what this is. Okay. And they absolutely will do it because there is a difference in prize money that matters from there, and there are margins of millions. Okay. Just a couple of million in either direction, but it's serious enough. And there's also fighting over how much that again is going to impact your wind tunnel time, right? Like that's going to your span between wind tunnel time. And this is something that I don't know a whole lot of casual F1 fans know about, that we do try to handicap in this sport. We try to handicap teams that do well by not giving them quite as many times and quite as many runs in the wind tunnel in the design and testing phase for the upcoming car for the next season, right? So for instance, in 2024, Red Bull got 840 wind tunnel hours, whereas Haas got 1380. RB got 1260. Williams got 1200. So that kind of performance will show up, and it will have an impact on the next season. Is it going to make Williams the number 3 team in F1 automatically? Well, do the math. Williams has had a lot of wind tunnel time. Really hasn't mattered, because when you don't have the money to take that data and translate it to the kind of machine you want to have, it's not going to matter. but there's a lot at stake in terms of money, in terms of what we'll call research time, wind tunnel time. There's a lot of fascinating stuff to happen right there, and no race is closer than in that like I think the 6, 7, 8 range is what you're looking for.
Yeah. And speaking of which, Haas, shout out to Ollie Behrman coming in.
Yeah.
Driving for the sick Kevin Magnussen. He had some good times and some bad times this weekend.
He was Mario Karting it out there. Like he was. Sometimes he took that power slide a little too far over the corner, and Lakitu had to come get him. But he endured. Shouts out to Ollie.
Yeah, he did all right. Also shout out to our guy Colapinto for like the, I guess, penultimate crash in the season. It's always a Williams. It's always a Williams causing some sort of safety car fiasco that then Max Verstappen ends up winning because of. So yeah, you could see in this race, I think more than probably any other race this year, how much veteran driving experience in rainy weather is a thing that the best drivers can do and are good at, and very good drivers are not as good at. Like, it really does sort of separate. Like, this was a really hard race for Max Verstappen to win, and you could see that, like, even though the conditions sucked, he really just, like, he crushed it. He nailed it. He was just focused and just, man, he earned it. This was his, like, this will be the one that I think we remember when we remember him winning this season. Whereas, like, last year, I can't even say what his signature race win moment was because he was so dominant and won most races by so many seconds that, like, there wasn't any sort of, like, I mean, if there is one and I'm misremembering it or can't remember it, let me know. But this is sort of like this was sort of the iconic moment. I think him just pulling this off out of P17 in just ridiculous weather.
Yeah, and by the way, if you look at that top 5, that top 6, whole lot of veteran experience there, but not all of it. We do have Valtteri Bottas having and Fernando Alonso in 13, 14 just barely hanging on there. So yeah, Ollie had issues, but this was a challenge for everybody. There is another challenge that we need to address, an elephant in the room, which is that we're recording this on Tuesday, November 5th, election day in these United States. By the time we rejoin you, in terms of live F1 action, it will not happen until the Vegas GP. There is another long break here, built into the F1 season, November 24th at 1 a.m. What, 1 a.m.?
Max may win while everyone is asleep in the eastern seaboard of the United States, which, you know, obviously is bad for me. You'll be at the race, right?
I will be at the race, yes.
Yeah, I'm not. Wish I could, but, you know, it's all right.
You sure? It starts at 1.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably be asleep. I went to bed at 9:30 last night.
At this point in the season, you're going to bed at 9:30, and you're currently wrapped up in a blanket, Jessica. I think we might. I think we might be skidding into the holidays on 3 good tires.
There's just no way. Yeah. Well said. But yeah, you're right. It's gonna be an exciting one in Vegas. I saw someone post a picture of the sphere and say, can they just put Max's face on this if he wins? Can we just put Max's ginormous face on the sphere?
Why not?
And to that, I thought, there's no way Christian Horner would let Max's face go on the sphere. It will be Christian Horner's face on the sphere if Red Bull wins the Drivers' Championship with Max.
It would be. Christian's just like, make me big. Please, all I want to be is big in life. I don't want to be a tiny man anymore.
There was a really funny video I saw of the Stake F1 team dancing in the rain, which I want to watch because, yeah, as we talk about the constructor standings, they are the only team still with 0 points this season. They are in dead last, will likely finish in dead last. And I enjoy the fact that they're still having fun out there, even though they are not doing so hot.
Just, yeah. That's what they should be doing. Yeah, you might as well.
Do little bits in the rain. It looks, what a time. What a team.
Yeah. Let's make some gags. Let's make some jokes. Because Lord knows you don't want to watch the racing. on the whole.
I think Spencer, there was a point in time where the race qualifying was getting delayed Saturday, which this is another thing, F1. Like, can you be a little clearer on what the procedures are here? Like, what is the procedures for delaying things? What are the procedures for, a safety car during a wet race? Like, what's really going on right now? You guys are
just
gonna
very... make them up as we go.
Right. So they just kept delaying it and kept delaying it. Eventually, obviously, they moved it to Sunday morning and moved the race up because the forecast was so terrible. But I think you were texting and you were like, is the rain really that bad? And I sent a video. I don't think it was the one that we just watched, but it was of like the hardest rain you've ever seen in your life and just like 4 feet of standing water on the track. So yeah, I guess that's what happens when you're racing in Brazil in November.
That is what happens. It's not what's going to happen in Vegas, you want to say, but what happened last year when we showed up?
But it might.
It rained. Yeah. It rained in the desert in November because that's happened sometimes. Yeah. So a home stretch that I think everybody is ready to get through. If you know anybody who follows the traveling circus of a sport or who works in the crews or who's on one of the teams or does broadcast, they're beat, man. They're absolutely beat. So I'm sure they don't actually mind this break before the home stretch, even if it is a little bit weird. Do you think F1 needs to consolidate that? Like just to get the entire season a bit tighter on the schedule?
I think it would be nice, but I think if anything, we're just gonna keep adding on more races, and so it'll end up just being full year round. But yeah, I mean, I feel like every time we get some momentum where there's like 2 races in a row or like 3 races in a row, we get another long break this year.
3 races left now: Las Vegas, Qatar, and finishing on December 8th in Abu Dhabi. It's a grind, and we're getting to the end of it. Still some drama to be had. Any final thoughts, Jessica, before we take what I will call the Vegas break? Doesn't feel like a colorful enough term for what we're doing. A 3-week journey to the desert, a little dramatic.
Yeah. Final thoughts. If I sound really bummed that Max probably locked up the championship, it's because I am. I wanted it to be excited to the end. Also, I'm really cold, and it's election day, so that's why my tone sounds like this.
Yes.
But yeah, this has been. You know what? Let's do a like don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened thing. This has been a really great F1 season, Spencer. We only have 3 races left. And it's been pretty exciting. This was Max's first win since Spain, I think, right? Like, we've had a lot of different winners. Yeah. We've had a lot of moments where I'm like, the Mercedes is really fast, the Ferrari is really fast, the McLaren's really fast, the Red Bull's very slow, and now the Red Bull is actually really fast again this weekend. But it's been really exciting, and I'm happy that it's been as fun as it has been. And even though we don't have a lot to look forward to in terms of maybe like first place finishes, the Drivers' Championship for the next couple races. Like you said, a lot of interesting stuff happening in the middle with the constructors. Ferrari and McLaren still neck and neck. Maybe not neck and neck, but still at it for the constructors for the ultimate prize. Good stuff. Good stuff this year, Spencer. Good stuff. This race was absolutely, this weekend, I guess, not just the race. The race was weird and everyone was in peril, but fun weekend.
Hey, don't even cry for Daniel Ricciardo because he may not have a seat in F1, but he's got a folding table.
Oh yeah,
waiting for him.
Let's watch our Daniel Ricciardo Bills video
in Buffalo.
Thriving in Buffalo.
Bills Mafia. This is my first time here at Highmark. We're in the Hammerlot at the moment. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. I just had a meatball, which was delicious. And yes, that's right. Go Bills.
And then he posted a picture did you see his Instagram post? He posted a picture of him like laying on the ground looking up at the camera next to Josh Allen. Like, it was so funny.
This is just Daniel Ricciardo this big, Josh Allen this big. Big man, little man.
They're both big men, sort of. Well, I guess Daniel Ricciardo just looks big because he's next to a bunch of littler people.
If you're big standing next to Josh Allen, you're on the field with Josh Allen, either on the Bills or an NFL team. Because you don't know how big that man is. He's not getting in an F1 car. His shoulders wouldn't fit. You'd have to.
You're right.
You'd need a shoehorn to get that dude in an F1 car.
You know what? I'm watching it. I'm looking at a picture of them standing next to each other in street clothes, and
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie. Like any other F1 driver would look substantially smaller. He's not that much smaller.
Yes,
He,
he
and
did.
also all the layers of clothes I think help.
He did pick him up off of a stage like a child. I have seen video of this, and when Josh Allen helps him down off the stage, it looks like me helping like a 6-year-old, right? Like it's the same size differential and power differential, because you can tell Daniel just feels so safe. He feels so
Yeah, they're
safe with
doing
Josh.
uppies.
Yeah, it's not gonna drop me.
There were like all these, F1 drivers getting sick and needing replacements this weekend, and Daniel was like, "Don't call. I have to go to the Bills Dolphins game in Buffalo. I'm busy. Please don't make me replace someone."
Yeah, I'm gone. I'm in Buffalo. I think that's all you need to say. I'm in Buffalo, and they're like, say no more.
Yeah. All right. Well, any more thoughts from you?
Only that I can't wait for Las Vegas and to talk to all of you after staying up for 36 straight hours, which seems to be what happens. You want Vegas to work and you want to sleep normally, and then you get there and you go, I've been awake for 2 calendar days.
There's no time. There's no clocks there.
Yeah.
I hope they pin down the manhole covers this time. That would be great.
Let's pin down the manhole covers, and let's not make Max grumpy with too many press obligations.
Let's do that. And we're off next week. So if you're a fan of the show, no show next week, but we'll be back after that. Like, follow, listen, subscribe. Thanks for listening. Tell your friends.
Stay warm, Jessica.
I'm trying. It's so cold.